So how have you been, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks. Just busy as hell as usual, but in
Yeah,
the middle of.
you're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've been keeping me fairly busy, have you? Yeah, I just always that sort of in between projects. You know what it's like. You finish one, then you
Yeah.
move on to the next, and then they kind of overlap. Especially as we know this, we've been through like lyric booklet things. Oh no, we just forgot to add this person to the credits sort of list, and I'm just sort of transitioning between a few things and that. So
Is that aimed at anybody in particular?
no,
Forgot to mention
I
this
tell you
person
what.
on the thanks list by any chance?
What, Mr. Crisp? Yeah. To be fair, actually, just very quickly, this has actually been pretty smooth in terms of not having to do that all that often. Like, it's
Right.
amazing the amount of times where you can have multiple people passing their eyes over the same piece of product, and you don't notice
Ah,
anything until it's too late. It's unbelievable. It happens
but
every
that's
time.
but that is why we keep it such a we've kept it such a small circle on this because art projects in general, yeah, it's not a committee.
Yeah.
It can't be because it's the equivalent of the whole band being in the studio when the vocalist is recording. No,
Yeah.
no, because you just end up with a load of conflicting opinions that a singer and a producer have got to try and take on board. It's a waste of time. It really is. Um, I found that out. I'd already always recorded like that, and then first time I recorded with Jace, he was like, "Right, everyone out." All right, what? And it's like, no, you lot do not need to be here. We'll do this. Off you go. It's like, where was everybody when you were laying your guitars, or where was everybody? It's and the thing is, because it's such, it's the, like art. There is, a singer can be out of tune, but you keep that take. They might go out of time, but you keep that. It's indescribable. You're looking for a passion. You're looking for a delivery. There's no book for that. Guitarist is out of tune. He's out of tune. Tune it up. Sort it out. But a singer can be out of tune, and it's like, yeah, but leave it. It sounds kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you know this with working on art. You've got to keep it. I think I remember the philosopher, a quote from a great philosopher, Jamie Jaster. Um, but he said, and it was he said a producer said to him, so it wasn't kind. He said a producer said to him, if you are lucky enough to have anyone in a band who has a vision, then your job is to help that is to help make that vision a reality, to help bring that to life. He said, because most bands don't have anybody with a vision,
Yeah.
or at best one. So just bear that in mind in future. Um, and yeah, I think, the concept for the rolling onto our album, and I noticed I said our, that includes you, mate.
Yeah. I'll take the assist. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, well, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, you and I had a conversation. Actually, this journey starts back with me interviewing Charlie about the Tiktalika album.
That's right. Yeah.
And we were chatting away, and I got the shock of my life that he was an Acid Rain fan, and then we talked about his album. He showed us the cover, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, that's really cool." And he was like, "Oh yeah, it's Dano. He also does, he's also done some Haken stuff." And I had to try and convince the band to say, "No, no, this guy can do it." Um, and I was like, "All right, great." And then after the interview, I said, I thought, "Oh, I should get this Dan Goldsworthy on the show." And then got you on the show, and we chatted, and it was really good, and all the rest of it. And the penny still hadn't dropped. And it wasn't until a few weeks later I was looking at Fauna, the last Haken album, and I've always loved the cover. I loves me a monkey, and I I just thought, oh, of course. Oh, of course. Um, and I knew that, like, I had the concept of the doing a throwback of the room from the fear, but incorporating the rest of the room and making it, a script for a Jester's Tear tribute, if you like. And having got Mark Wilkinson, who drew that album cover, to do the last album cover, up there for viewers watching on video. Um, having got him to do the last one, it seemed only fitting they should rip him off.
Yeah. It's sort of gone full circle, hasn't it? Especially with Charlie
Yes.
doing a little bit of guest work on the guitar here. It's sort
Well,
of it's quite interesting how it's all sort of like melded together.
this is where I was going with it. It's from that interview with Charlie, we've got Charlie guesting on the album, got you doing the art, and yes, it's phenomenal.
What
I
it-
said I sent you Mark's reply, didn't I?
Yeah, yeah, very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, loves
So
a pun.
he
Well,
definitely approves it. He definitely
what
approves of it.
if you want to figure out how this really has gone hilariously full circle? You mentioned Jamie Jaster a little while ago. The whole reason I became good friends with Charlie, who then obviously chatted to you, was because Charlie was listening to Jaster's podcast a good while back, and they had Terry Butler from Death and now Obituary and all those sort of bands on it.
Yeah,
Legendary bass
I've had
player.
Terry on. I've
Yeah,
had Terry on my show.
oh, amazing! Good old Terry, love the lad. And they were talking about the work on Inhuman Condition, his band Inhuman Condition that I'd done the artwork for, and was sort of mentioning the style and that. And so Jasta kindly gave me a shout out, and Charlie was listening to that and was like, "Oh, I'll have to go and see who this guy is," which is me. And then we became friends, and it's so funny how then you and I get to know each other through sort of
With
Charlie and
Charlie.
whatever. But the fact that, many years ago we've been in the same room when Zentrix toured with Acid Rain, but never actually sort of
Yes.
bumped into each other. It's so funny how like the world is so small, or like the metal community can be so small in terms of you're only ever like like 1 degree of separation, I think,
Yeah.
almost away from
It's
anybody.
it,
If you're involved in it, you're 1 degree of
it's
separation
like the
away.
Star Wars universe. The same people keep popping up no matter what planet you're on.
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
just got a different. Like I've got a moustache on this one for the.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, and funnily enough, the conversation I had with Charlie, I remember it. And he referred to you as Ed Replica, and we had a good giggle about it. I think he even said, "Oh, you should get him on." Um, and then I carried on chatting to Charlie, who, by the way, because I'm a qualified celebrant, kids, in case you didn't know. So yeah, I can oversee weddings, funerals, etc. And Charlie said, "Dude, you available?" And he said the date, and I was like, "Playing Southampton."
Oh no!
Yeah,
Oh, he
but
needs.
we're hoping that as part of his stag do, he's going to get up on stage at the Underworld, and he's gonna trade solos with Matt in Fantastic Passion.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Oh, that'd
Yeah,
be perfect. Oh, that's
yeah.
brilliant. Oh, glad
So
to hear that.
I'm really hoping we can make that happen. I don't see why not.
Yeah,
But as I said to Charlie, it's totally on him if he's if he's in a fit state. um, but
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, that's the plan. But yeah, it's kind of it's just insane. So anyway, kind of touched on the concept there, um, and Pete, yeah, I kind of said to Pete, look, this is the concept. This is what I want to go with. And it was incorporating the clown from the last album, and Pete was uh, totally on board with the idea behind the concept, but he also went, but we've never had a character reappearing on on sleeves. And I was like, yeah, that's a good point. It is. And I think it was him who he came up with how about the jesters, like the clown from the last time, how about that mask on the floor? So it kind of is the same guy, but isn't. And I remember thinking, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's sort of same universe, isn't it? It's like
Yeah,
you can choose to piece it together or have it to make sense if you want it to, but it's also not so on the nose that you go, well, you've had that idea forced down your throat, and this is
yeah.
definitely this.
Well, and to be honest, a lot of that is down to Pete because I think I might have got carried away and happily done that. But I knew I wanted the room, and I knew to be like the fear, but also and Easter eggs. That's I mean, remember like straight away, almost the first conversation was like, yeah, Easter eggs of all the song titles dotted around, and just other little things as well. I mean, it's really cool. Once the album comes out and people have got the art, I know I'm going to be getting questions about why is there a picture with a white rabbit in it?
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'd be like, well,
yeah,
I might be able to tell you, I might not.
yeah. That's it. That's a
Um,
sort of like touched the
yeah,
nose,
yeah,
secret stuff there. Yeah,
we'll see.
yeah.
And of course, just just having the Apple core there, um, which gloriously, people celebrated without kind of noticing that it was rotten on the floor and the worm was dead. But not that uh, not that not that the genre of Apple core is dead, but just yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a long
I mean,
time.
and after 20 or 30 years, plus the Apple's going to, they
Yeah,
turn after about 10 minutes left on the side. So I think
yeah.
after decades, it's definitely going to be well on its way.
Well, also, I mean, to be fair, it probably as much as I love it, it 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 helped reinforce the incorrect concept that we're some sort of comedy band. Um, and so it kind of, it hasn't appeared anywhere other than on the t-shirts of our very first tour back when we supported Zentrix when you were there in Glasgow. It hasn't appeared on any of our, didn't appear on Plan of the Damned recordings anywhere in the artwork or Man Who Became Himself or Age of Entitlement, and it doesn't appear on this either. Purely because it's kind of like, look, it's a moment in time. Everybody knows it exists. Not kind of turning our backs on it, but at the same token, just don't really need to be perceived as a constantly perceived as a comedy act when you know yes we have a sense of humor and God I seem to have said this so many times you know yeah we have a fun live show because we don't give a shit and we have a laugh but at the same token there's nothing funny about obnoxious 7.5 minute song about teenage suicide ha ha ha
Yeah, yeah.
ha you know and
It's funny you bring this up actually, because I've worked with quite a few bands that also have a sense of humor and do what you would almost call some stuff is comedy in the sense that it's funny, but it doesn't cheapen the music or cheapen the stuff. The fact they also take their craft very seriously. The music's written seriously. It's not just put
yeah
together crap songs. Like if you took away the lyrics, which are often satirical versus comedy, and there's a difference between like aha boobs farts, with sort of lazy slapstick stuff versus you're meant to laugh, but kind of beyond it just being somebody falling over slapstick style. And I think a lot of people don't realize that something can be funny, enjoyable, but also deadly serious and not to cheapen it. And
yeah
it's a really blurry line between that. And I personally, everything I do is I do a lot of death metal covers as well. But I like working with death metal and concepts that are fun and make you feel positive and happy and enjoyable. And that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be like, well, you're kind of undermining the entire, like, well, we're super serious and everything. You can have both at the same time,
yeah
Even like brutally serious films have got moments of levity or what have you in it. To just,
Well, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. Well, also to that end, a lot of people say well, the hardest genre of movie to make is comedy because humor is so subjective. It's
mhm,
the hardest genre to make. And to your point you're making there, comedy horror very difficult. It's
yeah.
either funny and not scary or scary and not funny. It's very, very fine line. But yeah, most movies will have a laugh in there somewhere. Otherwise, it's just drudgery.
Yeah. I can't remember the quote. I read that a while back. It might have been about a Will Ferrell film or something like that, where they were saying that if you make a bad film and it's bad, it can be comedy. But if you make a bad comedy film, it's absolute dog shit, basically.
Yes,
And
yeah.
and that
It can't
hence to
be
further your point.
that you're right. It's like a bad film can be it's so bad it's good. We all know
Yeah.
the expression. A bad comedy is fucking terrible. The end, no redeeming features, can't watch it, makes me feel icky.
Absolutely, yeah. There was one of the first Adam Sandler films is called Going Overboard or whatever, and
All Adam Sandler films.
but there is levels, there is tiers, right?
The
And
Sandler scale of unfunny, of course.
yeah, but
I bow to your superior knowledge, sir.
I was going to say I'm ambivalent at best. I didn't mind a bit of Happy Gilmore, and most of the rest of them they passed me by, and I'll leave it at that.
Do you know what? Do you know what? You've hit on the one Sandler film that I don't mind, that I managed to get to the end of.
Yeah, I thought,
Or if he's in a straight film, if he's just acting,
yeah, absolutely, yeah, totally agree.
don't mind. But
Yeah,
the gooning around and all the rest of it is just horrific. Although I have to say, one day hungover, I did watch back to back the two movies he made with Jennifer Aniston, where they're a couple and they're like solving mysteries. I think it's like Murder Mystery and Murder Mystery 2. That might be it. And I watched them back to back, and admittedly, I didn't laugh, but they kind of made me smile, as it were.
yeah. I think
But
he
yeah,
did this. Yeah, I think he did some of the straight stuff a little bit better than the attempted sort of comedy, the post Happy Gilmore stuff. But again,
yeah.
I'm not a Sandler aficionado or expert. However,
Or apologist.
or apologist. Yeah, this is just an objective thing. I probably Happy Gilmore at the top, other ones somewhere here. Going Overboard is so many leagues below. It is torture. It's genuinely one of those films. It's meant to be a comedy, and it's got people like Billy Crystal or Billy Bob Thornton and stuff in it as well. But I cannot come up with the words to make you understand how shit it is, and it should be used as as torture, as in forced to watch that on loop for people for like non-invasive torture. It is that bad.
Yeah.
So if anyone happens to be listening to it, wants a challenge, give Going Overboard a shot. We picked it up for 50p in a bargain bin in like Tesco 25 years ago, and that is 49.9p more than it's worth.
Oh, mate. Well, you deserve everything you get.
How did we get here?
What about Parents? Didn't he do that? I think it's a movie called Parents or Parent or something like that. It was fucking dog shit as well.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Somehow we've ended up in the bargain bin of conversation talking about Adam Sandler. I think we got here through bands. Actually, we got here from Thoughtful Sleep to Adam
that's right.
Sandler.
Yeah. That's right.
Thoughtful
Yeah.
Sandler. So, I look unapologetically. This podcast is obviously fairly Acid Rain centric, because that's the project we've been working on together. Hey, why wouldn't it? Yeah, you and I have been working on the new Metallica cover. Why is that? Anyway, so you've had the album now. I've talked about it. By the way, I love the way you got it, because listen to this, kids. This cheeky bastard, right? I didn't give him a link and say, "Oh, here you go. Thanks for your work on the album. Keep this to yourself. Have a listen." Oh no. He just messages me one day and goes, "Love the album, by the way." What the fuck? It's leaked. No. And no, you'd very creatively gone back through the email chain, seen links that I'd sent to the label, and gone, "Well, I'll have that. Thank you."
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, right? Quite a lot of the time, I mean, obviously within my job, it's not like I do NDAs or anything like that. But one of the perks,
hang on, Dan, you're about to be a Dan Goldsworthy apologist.
right? Yes, apologise for myself. Yeah.
You've got nothing to apologise for. I admired the ingenuity. Good on you.
I mean, the way I figured is you'd obviously, by that stage, you'd sent me demos early in the project, and
I
you'd
sent
let
you a
me
demo
hear
of one song.
2 songs. I think it was two
Oh,
songs.
all right,
And then
okay.
you'd let me hear 4 of them actually when we chatted.
Over
But
Zoom, yeah.
yeah, but that message was actually twofold. One, it's worth not copying in too many folk for, like, I was basically making the point that those songs did exist in an email chain as well, just in case, that got sent a bit further
Well,
afield.
with our label,
Yeah, that's right.
who own the album.
That's it. But you just never know, because obviously it's so easy to just forward on something that's like then relevant to another people. But also,
That will never happen.
no, but also, I mean, I work with so many bands, and obviously anything that I ever get, I'm often treated to like new music before it's
Yeah.
released. Nothing ever leaves my
Well,
computer, my
it's
ears,
one of
or
the,
anything. It's a
it's one of the
given.
perks of the job, and it should be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I couldn't, because I really liked what you'd let me hear, and I thought, well, it just exists here. I mean, it would be sort of, it would feel almost, I felt it was rude not to.
Yeah, I was waiting
It's like,
for
what do
you
I
to
do?
say
It's like,
that.
imagine if I just said, oh, by the way, mate, like, I saw that I had access to the songs, but I thought, no, I don't want to hear it. I'll just wait for months or whatever. But yeah, I loved it. I really did. I genuinely loved it. I think I've spun it about 7 or 8 times now, gone through it. And as I said to you, one of the biggest compliment I can almost pay to a record is if I hear it once and I go straight back to it again. And to me, that is, if something is the right length, the length of time that it should be, and well structured, and doesn't have any bits that dip, those are the sort of 3 magic ingredients that make me kind of put it on loop. And this is definitely one of those albums that I just sort of, I put it on and I was like, I'm going to go straight back to the start, and keep doing it. And you said yourself on a podcast that you thought it was, it might take listeners a few like spins through to get it. Whereas I genuinely felt that there's maybe 3 songs there that on the album that are slightly more growers, but that's only due to them being either 6 minutes in length or slower speed. And naturally, a 6-minute song that's a little bit, a tiny bit slower, is less immediate than an in-your-face, like, thrashier one. And most of the album is, I suppose, semi-spoiler alert, it's kind of fast and in your face and fairly intense. And if music is like that and good, I mean, that's what I love. That's what that's my favorite sort of music.
Yeah.
It's fast, heavy thrash or death metal that's also catchy and listenable and doesn't outstay its welcome, and keeps you wanting more. And that's, with the odd and it's not like, oh, here comes the chorus, here comes the hook, but some do have hooks and choruses as well. And again, there's not a formula to any of the songs, or we'll put in the melodic chorus because that'll make it radio friendly. But there are half a dozen or maybe less than that tracks that have got a melodic hook in it at some point. And those are the little earworms that, it's probably, I don't know, maybe three choruses or something like that.
They're the ones that pull you back.
They're the ones that, and they get stuck in your head when you're in the shower.
Yes.
Like the title track chorus, I've often, I won't sing it for the benefit of everybody, but, that one's got stuck in my head. And,
Good.
Yeah, also, the chorus of, crap, I'm forgetting which was the song. It's like, the second one. No Truth, sorry. Yeah, No Truth as well.
Right.
Well, actually, sorry, the first 3 songs especially. That's not to say the rest of the album's not great, but those first 3 especially, it's a brilliant kind of opening salvo to an album.
Welcome to the new album. Yeah. Funnily enough, I've listened to it a few times, as you can imagine, and I was actually thinking that the other day. I was thinking it's like, excuse me, by the time you get to Conniption King, which is the 4th song, it's actually nice to have a change of pace.
Yeah,
because it's like 3 songs. It's like, right, okay, fucking hell, I'm kind of feeling a little bit beat up. It's nice to just kind of take a break and go, oh right, okay, cool. Just adjust the speed a little.
I mean, you may have absolutely not, not done this intentionally, but it's the Metallica thing. If you look at the classic run of Metallica albums, of Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All,
Title track second.
title track second,
Yeah.
ballad-ish fourth. That opening with an absolute battering ram. Then instrumentals always, not that you've got an instrumental on this album. Instrumental 7 or 8, underrated thrasher track 5, and then there's probably a sort of slower song 6 or 7. There's a sort of formula to it, and there's a reason that those albums, lightning through to Justice, are just heralded, and it works. And Charlie did that on his. Yeah.
Well, the only thing that I would say popped into my mind was the fact that we had the title track as the second track. That was the only thing that was, but now you mention all of that, I'm like, oh, right, okay, yeah. Definitely unintentional, but then again, it might just be, as opposed to unintentional, unavoidable. It's like, I'm just, after all these years, I'm just pre-programmed by those first albums.
I think also just structurally it does make sense. Like, I mean, it's always, I find it, if you open a album with like a 10-minute, like if you're not a prog band and you open an album with your long 10-minute song, that to me just feels absolutely bonkers. I mean, you can get away with it, say, on Justice for All when you maybe put it second, such as The Strength of the Wrist, but typically people will put that last, the big epic song last on the album or something like that. There's if you've got kind of like a bunch of 4 or 5 minute songs and then a 10-minute, but like opening with it is just a kind of crazy thing to do. So there's a reason why I think it's not necessarily a trope or a cliche. It just sort of makes sense if you're a certain type of band, structuring it so you kind of, you melt their faces off, give them a breather at the right sort of time. And it's the same with like playing a set list. Like if you put all the new songs in a row, or all the slow songs or the half-tempo songs in a row, it's never as exciting as kind of like, giving a bit of push and pull. And I think this is why this album works really well, because I think I said that to you. I think if I didn't, I didn't send it in an email, and I meant to. That I think the structure of it is very good, and that's to me super important and an underrated part of music. You can have all the riffs in the world, but if the structure's not there, you kind of zone out a little bit.
Yeah, I think one thing that people were complimentary about with The Age of Entitlement was also the like going on a journey and the variety, but that's always been, I'd like to think that's always been a sort of a feature of the band, which is, funnily enough, one of my patrons is he's a Scottish AR fan. Not that makes him any, not that Scottish Acid Rain fans are different to anyone else, but he said, we were on a bill with another UK thrash band, and he said his son turned to him and just went, I know this sounds really like, because, and when he says son turned to him, he's like, so his son's like 17, do you know what I mean? It's like, because we're all so old. And he just turned around and he said, like, all of their songs sound the same. They're like 5 songs in, and I don't know what's different between them. And it was the first time he's like, he said, just wait for Acid Rain to come on. And we played, and he said his son turned to him after 3 or 4 songs and just went, I see what you mean. They're all different, aren't they? And I was like, that's so good to hear. Because of course, every song, and I think there's, with this album, there are songs on there where you can take one song and then another song and go, these are on the same album. They're so like radically different, but that it's good to be, in that place. It's taken many, many years to be that, to be able to put varying material onto one album. I mean, let's not get above ourselves. It's all thrash metal,
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. It's like slightly different flavors, and again, it's like the choruses that you're doing. It's not here's a big sing along kind of chorus. There's different sort of melodic things that, like, there was almost something about I think it might have been The Center of Everything or something, where it's almost this 90s. It's not grungy or Alice in Chainsy quite, because it's not that. but it doesn't sound like your typical like, chorus. There's just really interesting sort of darkness to it. I think it was that song, and I love that, absolutely love it, because it's a different flavour in the mix.
Jason and I referred to that. There's a few bits of that on the album, and Jason and I referred to it because basically there's you take a song from the Age of Entitlement like United Hates or Hardship. There are more harmonies on one of those. There's more harmonies on the United Hates than there is on this entire album. It's for me vocally, it's a completely different kettle of fish, but still wanted to, um, still wanted to vocally make it interesting. So yeah, Jason and I had this whole we Depeche Mode thing going, right?
Yeah.
That's what we referred to it.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And there's actually more of it that didn't make it to the final mix.
Really? Okay. Oh,
Yeah. The whole chorus of "The Who of You" was, yeah, because there's one line in there that survived that has a different undertone. But yeah, did a lot of that because I suppose a good example as well is the chorus of Days of the Week.
yeah.
Those
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
odd
Totally that.
harmony that sit in the background where you just kind of like, right, okay, that's not metal,
Yeah.
you know, but that's what where we benefit from having a producer like Jace who comes from such a wide and varied background. I mean, Grammy nominated producer, on a pop tune, has done remixes for Rammstein, has worked with Queen, he's done all sorts, and then flying back from New York to do this album and very much becoming, the sixth member. I mean, Jace. I know it's a bit of a music business cliche, but Jace working on this album was very much a part of the band,
Yeah.
because as a producer, it's his job to make decisions about things that are taken out of the band's hands. That's a proper producer who says, "Oh, is that what you think, guys?" Because that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
Again, he now becomes the person with the vision. He now becomes the person. Why are you paying a producer if you're going to sit there and going, well, like, don't do that, do this, don't do that, yeah, don't like what you've done with that, but it's like, whoa. You don't pay that. That's a mix engineer that job. A producer is there to say, right, well done, guys. You've worked on the songs. You've worked as hard as you can, and you've got them to this stage, and they're really, really good. Now watch me make them great. Now watch me make an album. You've made the songs. Let me help you make the album. And that's why we got somebody like Jace involved, completely outside of the metal community. Well, not completely, because he's a proper fucking Sepultura, Fear Factory, Carcass fan, so he's going to get killer sounds, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's why you bring someone in like that and who challenges you. And for instance, the chorus that we started talking about, Days of the Week, the two lines in there that are different, that match against, they're his ideas. Because like, I was very proud of the chorus, very happy with the chorus, really cool, this is going to work really well. And he was like, oh, I've got an idea for this. And straight away, as an artist, I'm thinking, don't fuck with it. There's nothing wrong with this chorus. It's fucking great. But as is my kind of default setting, I'm always like, well, let's hear it. Let's, I'm all about the collaboration. Again, what are you paying the guy for?
Yeah.
If when he has an idea, you're going to go, well, I don't want to hear it.
I was going to say, if somebody's good at their job and has good ideas, it's worth listening to their ideas. If you
Grammy
respect
nominated
their work.
producer. he
Yeah, yeah,
might have an idea about the
yeah, yeah.
chorus that I
He
hadn't
might,
thought
yeah,
of, which
yeah,
could make it better. And fuck me, he did.
yeah,
So, yeah. And he was like, I'm hearing this, and I'm just like, right, great. So at that point, it's now my job. Right? I've had the vision for this song. I've had it's lyrically, it's all down to me. It's from me. It's my vision, as it were. And um, but now he's the one with the vision. Now he's the one saying, I can hear something here that I'd like to try. So it's now up to me to help him make his vision come to life.
yeah.
Okay, so just taking just took a break there to let my pet squirrel in, so it could come and have a feed. Yeah, genuinely, that did happen, didn't it, Dan?
Yeah, that did. I can confirm that. Yeah, one of the
Cool.
most heavy metal things I've ever
Yeah,
heard. Like letting a pet squirrel
absolutely,
in to feed
absolutely.
me. Yeah.
He's got a little mohawk and everything. Um, so yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's why you have a producer.
Yeah.
And that's where, funnily enough, you might notice those. Yeah, that's where you've noticed that kind of, yeah, that just that's kind of difference, a different kind of feel. But I think it works. It's not necessarily metal, but I mean, leaning whilst we're here and mentioning Jace, let's dig into the production. How do you find it sonically?
Oh yeah, it's great. It sounds mint. Yeah, it
Yeah,
sounds really well. I mean, Age of Entitlement sounded really good actually as well. So
but
and
this is
it's the same
slightly
guy.
less
So
refined, if you ask me.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think from my point of view, you'll probably be closer to it in that sort of, oh, we layered lots of harmonies and maybe made it cleaner in that point of view. I generally come from the school of, has it got good guitar and drum tones as a sort of starting block? I mean,
Yeah,
I love my vocal harmonies and vocal production, etc.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like
No,
if
I
the
know.
mix,
Yeah,
but there's a bigger difference between assuming vocals have been recorded well. There's a vast array of difference between probably good and bad guitar and drum tones and bass tones.
you're always going to be able to hear the vocals, no matter how bad the production.
That's it. Yeah,
But
that's it.
ultimately, what are they singing over?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And production wise, it sounds absolutely mint again. And I know it sounds, it does have that sort of balance of organic, but also a mod. I hate the term modern metal production,
no,
especially
no, no. That's
given
fine.
it's
That's
been,
fine.
but it's sort of been like that for 25 years, probably since like the Colin Richardsons and that of this world in the 90s, sort of, and even sort of. Terry Date and people like that as well. That's to me when it came out of the 80s, turned into the 90s, and they found the balance of you can hear the kick, the snare has the perfect level of crack, all the drums are tuned nicely, and samples were sort of they can be overly used.
But it was all real.
Absolutely, that's right. That was
And
for me the sweet
yeah,
spot.
and now
So when
and now we've moved to a place where it's artificial, and it's I mean, basically, I said to Matt the other day, one of the things I love about this album is that a guitarist is going to come up to Matt at some point and say, can I get that tone that you used on the album? Have you got the profile for that? No,
yeah,
no. That
what amps
that
did
just
he use?
exists on that album and nowhere else. It's a piece of time. That's it.
Well, music and production and guitar nerds like myself who might be listening to this would be quite interested. Do you know what amps were used on the record? Out of interest.
Oh, well, I don't think even Matt knew. I think he got his amp about a day before, literally the day before recording. Yes, that's mad. As Matt will admit himself. Yes, that is mad. So no, unfortunately, I do not know.
Okay. Oh well, I
So,
just thought I'd ask out of interest because it's the sort of thing that anybody who's into sort of production and recording and playing
oh,
guitar, etc. It's always
yeah,
fascinating. That's kind of half the reason I'm in the industry at all. Was like fascination with music production, and one thing leads to another.
yeah.
But
Well, I'm glad you've spotted the kind of real sounds and that I think is what you mean by like old school,
Yeah,
but modern
yeah,
metal production.
organic. I think organic, but more because it can be a dirty word and a clean word. Modern production, because to me, like I think in a way we are starting to rebel a little bit against the absolutely clinical, pristine sounds. Because it was probably about mid 2000s where Pro Tools started to be abused in the sense that it's an amazing sort of thing, and loads of the best records and that are made using Pro Tools or any of the other things. But it's when you had the ability to completely chop up everything, sample, replace, grid it within an inch of its life, and suck out all of the feel for the sake of having an absolutely inverted commas perfect record. That to me was really bad into them in certain genres in the mid to late 2000s, and I feel like
Yeah,
we've actually, I think, as the wider community sort of rebelled a bit against that. And I hear a lot of especially like death metal records as well these days, where it sounds like it was recorded kind of in a room, and it's been under Pro Tooled for the sake of actually having the sound of the band there and then. But
yeah.
Blood Incantation and Tomb Molds, and anyone who listens to it and likes that sort of music will know exactly what I mean. I like that again, because it's like, oh, records have got their own identity as opposed to sounding kind of all the same. Like I feel like they did about 15 years ago, maybe.
Well, funnily enough, I am going to stick up for Pro Tools here because it's
Oh
not.
no, I love it and use it all the
Yeah,
time. I was meaning the abuse of it, not it
yes.
using it.
Well, the
This is
thing is, I don't think it is Pro Tools, and I don't think it's. I don't think it's. Pro Tools. Our
yeah,
album's Pro Tools.
yeah.
Our album's
Oh,
Pro Tools. Absolutely, it's all in time. It's on the grid. It's everything else. It's
yeah,
using. It's basically, putting digital sensors on a kit and having the drummer play the kit and then replace everything he hit with a sample because it makes it easier to mix. I mean, there's things on our album that it would have been nice to maybe not have there, but there's nothing we can do because, you know, Johnny's snare bleeds into all the other mics on the kit, or the hats bleed into the snare. Just the physicality of where they are. The hats are always going to bleed into the snare mic, and vice versa, or the overheads. So there's things that you can't do to maybe clean that bit up there, right? Well, you replace everything. If it's all digital, you go, oh, can you make the hi-hats a little bit quiet? Yeah, sure. It's done. You can't do that with how we recorded it because they're real drums. Now, what you'll hear most of the time is they're not real. Well, that's nothing to do with Pro Tools. That is a production choice by a band. And believe you me, it's quicker. It's a lot quicker. You can make, Jace spent nearly every day from halfway through November, had a week off during Christmas to the end of March, every day, and a lot of those days over 12 hours working on this album. Could have done that in half the time, even less if we'd just you replaced everything with samples, replaced the kit, used a profile, all the rest of it. Could have, for the guitar, could have been so much quicker, and so much easier, and so much cheaper. Because time is what you're paying for. Time is what costs. So it's that producer's choice. It's the band's choice. It's some may say, well, it's financially, they haven't got any other option. But yeah, I just think, I just think that I like the way we've gone. I mean, there's one song where it's probably imperceptible to everybody else, but I noticed as soon as I heard the first mix, it's like, oh, the kick drums change tone. How is that? And it's like, oh yeah, because Johnny was like, Jace had been chatting to Johnny and said, at this point you need to really push the kicks a bit more. So it's literally, there is no setting for that. There is no way of changing that sound because it's to do with how hard Johnny was driving his kicks at that point in the song. Well, believe you me, 99% of records you listen to, that wouldn't be a thing. Because you just go, oh, I'll just bring the kicks down a little bit. It's not the sound, it's the tone of them. That cannot be changed. There is no world where that exists because a
Yeah,
human being played them, and it's the amount of force they were using at that particular time. And that's what I love about this production is that it's innately human.
yeah. I mean, obviously, a ton of EQ and compressions going into this sort of stuff. But I think the thing is, it's like what a drummer that hits hard gets a different tone out of a drummer hitting the same snare drum and the same kick softly. And you can't. That's
Yeah.
one thing that you can't fake with natural drums is a drum being hit hard because the timbre of the kit changes so much depending on how well and how hard it's hit if you're using that.
Well, also it goes into all the other mics. So you
Yeah,
can't say bring the snare up. Can't, because if you bring the snare up, you bring everything else that mic was capturing up,
well,
and
I
you know,
imagine.
and it sounds weird.
Yeah, I mean, Jace will be close micing all the snare as well, so you've got a degree of control. But I
No,
know
no, no, no,
exactly.
no, 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 no. You don't. You simply don't. You simply do not have that control. Cymbals are in every mic, and there is no mic that cuts out cymbals and just has no. It does not exist. And the ambience, it's like tom decay. No, you can't EQ tom decay away. That exists. It's a thing. It's there. If you tried to, it would sound awful. It would sound like 80s pop drums that just disappear all of a sudden. There's just no way of doing it. Yes, you can automate things, but then you're into months. You're into months of like Black Album where you're like automating the hats, kick each part of and that's another world. But we've got in a short space of time, on, believe it or not, a smaller budget than they had for the Black Album. um,
Not in the
it,
millions then for this,
yeah,
no.
yeah. It's just like, yeah, it was, it's an absolute mission. I mean, the guy's an absolute fucking hero. He really is. Um, and it was just a pleasure working with him again. I can't imagine working with anybody else, to be honest.
Yeah, well, that's yeah, good. Oh well, it's an album number 6 then, or whatever it is next. Getting booked in before, so he's not in the States.
That's it. That's it. So anyway, that's the Jace Lewis commercial over.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Now you did actually mention a song that I'm keen to get your opinion on. So what do you think to how the album ends? Because for me, it ends with a bit of a curveball, but I might be wrong. I'm in the band.
Yeah, a little bit in the sense, but not enough that I'd have thought it was either distracting. I mean, again,
All
it's
right,
like
okay.
the
Not
last
like
the
what are
last
they
songs.
fucking doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that song and I suppose Conniption King as well maybe are a couple of the like slowerish ones, but it definitely didn't.
Although they both
It's,
have fast parts in them.
they've got fast parts in them, but they're two that, as a whole, they're less
Yes.
like thrashy all the way through. But I think I'm probably after like 35 years of listening to sort of music, quite used to if there is a song that is a little bit different. The last song on the album, it's like, I'm not going to do this for the sake of this. I could, off the top of my head, name dozens of albums that I absolutely love, where the last song is even way more of a curveball than the rest of the album. Like, there was an album I loved in the mid 2000s by Red Chord, like who were like a grind death metal band, and the whole of that, the first 11 tracks of the album Clients is all like ridiculously chaotic, progressive sort of death grind stuff. And the last song almost sounds like this sort of stonery corrosion of conformity down style song, like round, but it
Oh,
works, and
right.
it's a brilliant outro. And people will either put the most longest progressive songs or an acoustic ballad, or if you're going to put something that is different than the rest of the album, the last song is the place kind of to do it. And I felt like, although this was a little different, it's definitely not so much of a departure that I was like, whoa, hang on a minute, there's something going on here. And I think it's probably your closeness and proximity
Yeah.
to it that is maybe second guessing that. Whereas I just thought, oh yeah, that's where you'd put a song a little bit like that. It makes the most sense to stick that at the end. It just felt like a logic structural choice.
Now, well, that's funny you should mention that, because when I was dreading doing the track listing for this album, and it was one like the label were literally, we need the fucking track list. We need, come on. And I'd had this idea for the track listing for a while, but I just like dreading like dropping it in the WhatsApp with the band. Do you know what I mean? Because again, it's one of those things where everyone's like, "Oh no, I'd move that there, or
Yeah.
I'd put that there." There was only three. There was three tracks that I said, like, I think these songs need to be in these places, and they're not up for discussion. The rest of it is. It will open with the Who of You, and we all agreed on that. And I said, like, it just occurred to me one day listening to it that, especially the way the song actually ends, it's got to end with Center of Everything. They're the bookends. And halfway through, opening side two, if you like, um, is Blind Lies. And Pete was like, we I want to have a real fucking like banger opening side two, just old school. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Blind Lies. He's like, yeah, great. And so I put the track listing in the group, and everybody just went, yeah, cool.
Oh, yeah. Miracle.
Yeah, I know. I was just like,
Yeah.
what?
It,
Insane.
I tell you what though, it's always nice if you've got little bits where you can. It's not like here's 10 tracks, who knows what it is. But if you've got bookends and points
Yes.
where you can start to actually figure it out a bit more forensically than, oh well, this is my favorite song, so I want it for there's
Yeah.
it's much easier to fit things around certain like points as opposed to just having to chuck mud at a wall and with total
Yeah.
randomness and hope something
Well,
fits together.
well, the story of the Who of You, which is utterly bizarre, is probably the song that took the longest to come together. It's been various iterations. When I eventually get around to putting the demos out on my Patreon, sign up, kids. It's a link in the description. There's various iterations of that song. That there's so many, and funnily enough, that intro is on the song initially. It then disappears again. We lose it. We dropped it completely. Gone. And then and then it came back. And then it was like, hang on, that's the opening. That's the opening track of the album. So it just this song just went through various incarnations, and having that intro, then not having that intro, and then when finally we settled on the song, we then put the intro back on the front, and then went, right, okay, it's now going to open the album, and probably the live show too.
Yeah, it's
Man,
always funny when that happens. There's like loads of examples of sort of similar with like, Black Sabbath going, oh, our album's not long enough. Quick, write a song, knock out Paranoid, which, I mean, it's far from one of my favourite Black Sabbath songs, but it's probably the thing they're most well known for. Oh, the thing that you just churn out accidentally because you need it sort of done becomes a big hit. Enter Sandman, I think, had another one. You'd sort of think that is probably arguably the biggest metal song of all time. It wasn't like that was the first one from the Black album and they were basing the whole album around it. It's
yeah,
funny when like you just can't, these things come together over time, and it's always, I quite like it when it's a bit organic like that and it just naturally finds its place. So
yeah, absolutely. And as regards your role in all of this, I mean, firstly, it's been great working with you. Use him, guys.
yeah,
He's great. Um, but also I just found you, like, really really accommodating, but also just really good at developing the idea and making it real. So straight away, if I if I mentioned something, you'd straight away seize upon that and go, well, what I would do here, or how I would bring that to life, because if you go down this route, it will look like this. So therefore, working like that means that you never actually get anything sent back and you go, what the fuck is he doing? You know, it's like, oh my God, this is awful. It's like, well, it's what you wanted.
Yeah, it's yeah, and this is what one of the reasons I think that's fun about my job is working with people, assuming you get on well with them. And like you say, if somebody has a vision, which you clearly did, because when you spoke to me, it's like, here is what I would like, you know, sort of script for a Jester's fear.
That's the one.
There we go. But you know, and we discussed all the little elements about like the clown figure and where, you know, how far we go down referencing other things and how
Yeah.
subtle certain things is. But I think it's the constant dialogue that you open up with people that allows a cover to come to life and be what it should be. And I really enjoyed it. And I think it does help. I always like it if somebody like yourself goes, well, I've got an idea in mind. And then it's my idea to turn that sort of vision into a reality with my, 20 years of experience of doing this as a job, but then also just for years before, just being a fan of heavy metal album covers. And especially like when yourself, you know, you come to me with like, well, we'd like to put Easter eggs and references. It's like, for me, one of the biggest points in my entire life is discovering Somewhere in Time by Iron Maiden, and the beauty of picking it up and going, hang on a minute, I can look at this for more than 2 minutes
Oh yeah.
and I get excitement from
You
that.
get
And I think
lost
that's
in it.
exactly, and that's what I've always found important in art. Maybe there's not necessarily time to go down the AI rabbit hole, but I found that doesn't put love and years of experience and tiny little details into things. It just put big and fancy and shiny, but it's actually shit when you overanalyze it. I love it when it's the other way
AI,
around. You know,
AI, all it does is scrape the internet and give you an approximation of what a human would have done. And that's what it looks like, sounds like, feels like, whatever. It's a second rate, empty version of it. Basically, just get a shit artist.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
get a shit artist, and they'll do a better job than AI,
that's
you
it.
know, or a
If you
similar one.
if, if you want to spend any time, but with this, yeah, but for this cover, it's like you want people to go and look at the individual calendar pages or look at the stuff on the
I want
walls to kind of
to
figure out what it is. Why
well
have they put
to
that
get
there?
really to get really arty about it, love. Um, I want people to walk around the room. I want people to go into the room and walk around the room and examine each corner of the room and look at what's there and figure out what it is and why it's there.
That's it. And I'm going to be careful with spoilers for anyone that's interested, because one of the things that we'd sort of discussed was if it's going to have Easter eggs, it needs to reference every single track at some point.
Yeah.
And I'll only give a little bit away, but at one point during my thing, I went and added a globe, and you were like, "Oh yeah, this is cool. I like where it's going. Why have you put a globe in there?" And I went, "Well, if
That
you read
wasn't
the
me.
lyrics, yeah,
That
yeah."
that was
Oh,
Pete.
sorry, it was Pete. Okay, sorry. Apologies. Sorry.
Yeah.
Via your emails, it was like, why is there
Yes.
a globe in there? And I was like, well, I couldn't think of anything for this song, but I went through the
Yeah.
lyrics. So the purpose, there was a person,
The
somebody
opening
had
line of
thought,
the whole
yeah,
album, mate.
there you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
It's like, and you
It-
weren't to know that at the time.
yeah,
It
that's
couldn't
right.
be more apt.
That's it. But the thing is, it is something that might seem random, but it was put there with thought by humans and discussed as opposed to just like big shiny, but meaningless nonsense.
Well, and the irony of that is that, you know, yeah, it wasn't just put there like the Earth's flat concept. No, humans actually developed the whole science behind what it really is.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But
Um, yeah, and well, that's that, and hence there. Yeah, there's little bits and pieces all over the place that are there and that mean something. And it's nice to have it's nice to have something in there that doesn't mean anything. Now,
yeah,
it
yeah,
did at the time.
yeah,
Um, Guys, it's getting a bit cryptic, isn't it? Um, yeah. So anyway,
yeah,
but I love the concept. Yeah, I don't want to. I can't dive down the rabbit hole on that one.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
What color is it?
yeah. But yeah, no, it's been great, and of course we've now got the singles which follow through on that concept because there'll probably be a single once the album's out as well, and we'll follow through on that concept as well. So it's slowly opening the door for people in case, in case they haven't got it.
Yeah.
Just like the door is slowly opening on the cover. Um, but it will kind of, yeah, it will all sort of come to light. But we're also having the joy slash stress of merch as well, and how to translate how to translate various bits and pieces into merch, which again was just such an easy conversation because we were able to go, well, we know what looks shit
Yeah, yeah.
and we know what looks good and is cheaper to make because it's screen printed.
Yeah. Yes, and definitely knowing what like and album covers are a difficult one to put on like shirts sometimes. And I had my least favorite band t-shirt ever is where somebody has taken a square album cover and just put it on a black shirt. It is literally the worst because for a
Yeah,
start, it's a square on a rectangle. And this is why I've had to adapt numerous of my album covers for a t-shirt, but I always make sure you can take the logo and at least put it above, bring in the sides, extend the sky, so you
yeah,
turn it into a
yeah,
rectangle that looks all right.
yeah.
Maybe crop out some,
Fade it. Yeah,
fade it,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
mean, I think of all covers, this one it wouldn't really relay itself to a t-shirt, especially because a lot of the detail isn't like all those calendar pages and that at the back, which is just that's not fun to look at on a t-shirt anyway,
No,
really. But
no. But
it's not.
I can. But we did talk about how we can use that, and that's that'll be good. Um, uh, as a back print, but also I'm looking forward to seeing the tribute shirt that we discussed.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Um,
that'll be fun.
and just to develop that idea live, yeah, sort of kind of looking up as opposed to how it is on the cover.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Right? Because just taking that and yeah, it's just kind of wrong.
That's it. Because I think it's probably worth mentioning here as well, actually, whilst we're here, the character that exists on it, he looks a little bit unique as far as characters that haven't existed on thrash records. And that was obviously your suggestion because the original cover looked like it was like a bit, well, the Age of Entitlement mixed with a little bit of more of what you would expect Ed Repka style thrash
Yes.
stuff. Which unfortunately, for better or for worse, is my default setting, having loved that style of cover
Yeah.
ever since I was a 10-year-old boy sort of thing. But obviously to get away from it being obviously a bit more tropey, we kind
Yeah.
of did this disfigured kind of horror character really with his
Yes.
eyes and mouth sort of scored out, which was obviously your like with a bit of back and forth was like the
Yeah.
band's idea. But it does mean you've got sort of a recognizable face to use for better,
Yes.
on merch and what have you. And no matter how you draw that character is going to be recognizable for this particular album cover,
Yeah.
which is
And
good.
honestly, mate, a few days ago, I had the weirdest experience because I saw the guy who is on the cover of our album walking down the street.
What? Wait, as in the cover of this album?
Yeah,
Oh dear,
fucking. Oh yeah, yeah.
that's
Oh dear.
terrifying.
Yes, this gentleman did not look like he had a fixed abode. Um,
No,
and yeah, well, and
that's a euphemism and a half.
it is,
Anyway,
isn't it?
go on. Yeah.
I've got to be honest. I've got to be honest. I wish he did, because then I would know. Well, roughly, I'd be able to like see him walking down that street at that particular time on a given day or other day. Because honestly, I pass where I saw him at least 2 or 3 times a week, and when I walk past there now, I've got my hand on my phone,
Yeah, yeah,
quick draw camera, because I've got to see this guy again, because it was
yeah,
literally I was like I was driving and I was just like fuck. And by the time I'm like, oh my god, and he's level with me by the time my brain goes, maybe get a picture. Too late. Traffic
Oh
lights,
man.
go. And yeah, so I'm literally, approaching these traffic lights with even more caution.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, genuinely, the face. It
That's
was it was the mouth that did it. I was like, fucking hell, that's
what
insane.
did he have the kind of Glasgow smile thing then going on or something, like, or whatever it's called?
No,
Like that's
no,
because that's
no,
the
but
sort of idea, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
yeah.
but no, he had almost like the Joker smile. He had one of those, like,
Jesus.
like a really big, scary fucking
Right. Okay.
mouth.
Because
And yeah,
because I think, I mean, what that was is like it's sort of, I think it's they called it, the, is it Glasgow smile? I don't know if that's the
yeah,
same as a Chelsea grin, but where like a knife's taken like
it
across
is.
your face to slit it or whatever, and it
Yeah,
was sort of not obviously that, because the guy on our cover's obviously got this disfigured, scarred face as if it happened a long time ago and to some extent has healed. But I just sort of wondered if you'd actually seen somebody in the flesh who had one of those,
right. Yeah,
because I
no,
mean that
no,
would be
don't worry.
terrifying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, don't worry. No, no. And it was like the Joker, isn't it? Where it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like that's what happened to him as a kid.
yeah. That's
Um,
right. Yeah.
but yeah, no, don't worry. This was not somebody who'd been attacked.
Oh, good.
It was just somebody. No, it was somebody who literally, literally just looked like. I was like, shit, this is
Yeah.
fucking insane.
Yeah.
Um,
Gee. So you're
yeah,
now frequenting crack dens all the time just to sort of go and with
no, it's this particular street in Hammersmith, and a particular set of traffic lights. Honestly,
yeah.
I am going to be keeping an eye out for this guy. It cannot be the one and only time I see that person.
Yeah.
It just can't be. It's it's got to be. I've got to see him again. You know,
Amazing.
the weird thing is, I've even thought about, well, what do I do if I'm walking down the street and he's coming the other way? I'm like, what do I do? Get a selfie.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I've got to somehow surreptitiously take a photo or video of this guy. So I've even thought about, well, I can walk along with my camera, with my phone up like that. And there's like, people do that all the time. So, wouldn't necessarily know that I'm taking a picture or a video of him. Yeah, that'll work in
Yeah.
my fever dream. Um, but yeah, just absolutely bizarre.
Yeah.
Um, and also, I know I mentioned this to you before. I'm actually currently waiting on a message from the company who are doing a limited edition, one pair, who are doing me a pair of boots that are the album cover. They're
Oh,
basically
brilliant.
being hand painted, and I'm just waiting on, they've basically let me know that my order is in progress, and they'll send me pictures soon. So I'm kind of like, wow, this is going to be really cool.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see how much you get of that into a small one, a pair of boots, as in like, well, how big are they? Like as in sort of high tops or actual
No,
boots
no,
boots?
like, sort of Converse style,
Right,
so
okay.
ankle. I think maybe one boot is going with like more of the logo and background, and another
Right.
boot will go with, and you can just imagine straight away the figure will be like on the ankle part,
Yeah, yeah.
that there, and then I've gone for the extra detail option as well. That was a lovely Slovakian lady who's going to be doing a project, and and she was like, well, she said, well, you know what do you want? And I just said to her, look, here's the artwork. And we stood there. I've got a fold phone, so she was able to really look at it. She was like, oh yeah, great, this is really cool. And I said, have you are any ideas coming to mind? She was like, yeah, I'm thinking that there, that there, that. And she was like, what would you like? And I said, what I'd like is for you to go away and do what you think is best. you know
Okay, yeah.
you just So we're onto that, right? It's now her vision.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, look, you paint boots for a living, for fuck's sake. Don't listen
Yeah,
to
yeah.
my ideas. I need to listen to your ideas. So if you're
Hmm.
looking at that and going, oh yeah, my brain's on fire, I've got all sorts of ideas, this there, that there, that there, just get on with it. Do
Yeah.
it. Go for it. And let me know when they're ready.
People need to think about this when they ask artists to design them a tattoo, rather than just going straight to the tattooist and saying, "Could you design me a tattoo?" Because I mean, it's just sort of it blows my mind, because the way I see it is, if you get, sorry, I've slightly derailed this. It just reminded me of something.
I completely agree. I was messaging about tattoos with Jace this morning because his partner is a world level tattoo artist.
Amazing. Well, the way I see it is, right, a tattooist is either brilliant or maybe not. If they're not that good, then they're not going to be able to take a good piece of art that a better artist designs and turn it into a good tattoo. Or in the case of a lot of tattoos, they're absolutely incredible, at which point they'll do a better job of designing and drawing the tattoo, which is their job, than the artists such as myself or whoever would do it. So therefore, you don't totally bypass that artist and go straight to the source of the person who knows best and works with arms and legs and the detail and the know-how. It just
exactly straight away. Like when I was saying to you, maybe this, and you're like, well, if we were to do that, this is how I would do that, because, and you straight away you will flag up potential roadblocks that you could, because you've had this kind of thing before, and you go, look, the only danger with that is that it won't stand out enough, it'll blend into the background, and you'll be left with not knowing what it is. What I can do to make that real is approach it this way. Oh right, that's cool. And that's exactly what you need. You need to go to tattoo artist who straight away says, try and avoid white. It's not a good idea. Let's go with something else here. And okay, that's great, and it's a lovely picture, but if I do that on your body, this is going to happen. Or you want that tattoo, and I can do that tattoo, but you do realize that it is actually, and tattoo artists have said this to me, because I've got some, and they say, well, that shape goes there on you. So you either have that tattoo on there, or if you want a tattoo on that, if it's this part of your body you want a tattoo on, then we need to rethink the design. Or if you want that design, this is where it goes. But I ain't doing that design on that part of your body, because it will look fucking odd.
Yeah, because we're not flat sheets of paper.
Yeah, well, I've also had tattoo artists refuse to do certain tattoos on people. And one guy told me, he had a guy come in and he wanted, The Rock has a back print, oh, fucking hell.
Dwayne Johnson.
Yes.
Dwayne Johnson, yeah.
Yeah. So Dwayne Johnson has this huge, back piece. And the back piece it incorporates bits and pieces of the timeline of his life, of events, to commemorate certain things or events or people or whatever. I don't know the tattoo myself, okay, but that's it. And he had this guy come in and he goes, I want this back piece. And he's like, what? Like The Rock, Dwayne, you want that? And that exact back piece? He's like, I want that exactly. And he was like, yeah, but you want his life tattooed on your back? No, fuck off. You're weird.
Yeah.
It was just like, look, mate, I can do a version of that, and we could take the base of it, and we can maybe, you see these bits that are relatable. Let's think about your life as, no, I want that. Right, get out of my fucking studio.
I want The Rock's mum handing a 6-year-old Rock a birthday cake with his birthday in a date on it. Mental.
I want The Rock's tattoo on my back. What? Yeah. What, that face? Yeah. His granddad, The Rock's granddad's face, who died in 1987. Yeah. I want that on my back.
Oh my God. Amazing.
People are fucking mental.
I've got a very super quick story that's just reminded. There's a guy I went to school with who was a complete, a Rangers, Glasgow Rangers football casual, super right wing, horrible person. No way, and a shock horror. Can I surprise you? This. I really like Glasgow. Sorry for the second sort of bad mention of them here, but and he was like, most people up in Scotland aren't the biggest fan of the English, let's say, but he was like pro Union Jack, pro English, because he was so much of a kind of, right winger. Anyway, years later, he got a massive tattoo of his entire back print was the Trooper by Iron Maiden right across his back, because it's like what Storm of the Light Brigade or whatever it's called, a bit of ye olde British Army. And somebody came up.
By the way, just as a total aside, can you imagine Iron Maiden coming out with that song and that artwork now?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Different time, isn't it?
You colonialist bastards.
Yeah, totally. Well,
jeez, cancelled.
Yeah. Well, anyway, somebody saw this and he was like, "Oh, Hutchie, I never knew that you liked Iron Maiden." He was like, who are Iron Maiden? I don't know who Iron Maiden are. And like, he had no fucking clue about Iron Maiden and doesn't like any of that heavy metal shite or whatever, but he saw person waving British flag. I am having that. And this is like, I don't think we as white people can really talk about cultural appropriation in the same way that people taking, say, Rock's Maori tattoos in life and all that sort of stuff works. But for me, there is something about that is up there with when you see like Kardashians wearing an Exodus t-shirt or something type of, it's that level of, I am not a gatekeeper at all, right? I think the more people that like metal, the better. But at some point you need that little bit of gatekeeping you can't just fucking have that. And that's not for you. You can't have that.
Do you know what? In my mind, I'm playing this scenario out. And what I love is this guy going into a tattoo studio and him saying, I want this. And the tattooist immediately thinking, you don't know what this is. And I'm not going to tell you. And him coming in, for like 8 sittings across like 3 months. And this tattooist saying to everybody else in the studio, not a fucking word. Nobody mentioned Maiden. Nobody mentioned the Trooper. Fucking mouth shut, and he just sits there and has like idle banter with the guy all along, at no point mentioning Iron Maiden or the Trooper. This whole project, 8 sittings over a year or something. Do you know what I mean? Finally, it's finished. He gives him his money. He goes, "All right, see you later, mate. You happy with that? Yeah, look, aye, looks fucking great. Off you go. Yeah, fucking idiots." Out into the world. And then I can imagine your mate going back to the studio going, "You, what a fucking word were you?"
Yeah. Just to clarify, he was my friend when I was 13, and I don't think I've spoken to him since I was at school for many a reason. Just to put that out there.
The way this plays out is like, you've got this tattoo. Is you? I want a fucking word with you. And the tattooist sort of turns around with a fucking Iron Maiden shirt on.
Yeah.
And he's like, what?
Oh,
brilliant.
Man.
Oh,
yeah.
that's right up there with the I want the Rocks tattoo on my back.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, it's just like why like but it's the
I want
it's
a celebrity's life story tattooing on my back.
That's it. It's the sort of it's the ignorance of it all. It's just sort of mind blowing. But
yeah, it is. Well, look, mate. The Heathen Teaser. By the way, before we go, I have to say, been loving the updated Sepultura merch designs that you've been doing. They just look fucking.
Oh, thank you very much.
They make me want to buy a shirt.
Cheers. Well, I suppose that's the premise of doing merch, isn't it? Like that's the thing.
Certainly
thank you. I think that's the highest compliment I could see. Yeah, thank you.
Well, can't wait for you to do the same for us. No pressure.
Rework.
Make it look like people want to buy it. All right.
I mean, I don't know how I'd rework obnoxious to sort of like here's my take on it. It's a slightly different shade of pink.
well, as you've seen, we've got that handled.
Absolutely.
Put a big fucking logo on it and put album, chrome cassette, CD. The end. Well, look, mate, it's been amazing as always. And if you're listening to this or you're watching this and you think, fucking hell, these guys go on. Genuinely, you can imagine what it was like putting this album together. It was always enjoyable having our chats, which is still going to continue because we've got merch to do as well and single covers and shit like that. But it's been a blast. It really, really has. And for those of you
That's,
thinking, bloody hell, yeah, it must have been mad. It was like, it was doing these.
that's it. Well, because every time we'd have a 5 minute catch up just to talk about something, it'd be about a 5 minute discussion of that, and then 45 minutes of this, which is like you say,
Yes.
is great fun. But it's the whole
Yeah.
reason you do it. This is I've said to so many people, half the fun about doing this is meeting. You get to meet people who you respect as artists, but also have the same shared interests as yourself.
Yeah.
Like musical artists. I mean, and
Well,
that's
yeah,
what
but the thing
that's
is,
what I love in this.
mate, the reason I'm doing this and the reason you're doing that is that we're like fucking nerds for thrash metal.
That's it, and still
That's
love it all
you know,
these
yeah,
decades later, isn't it?
yeah. It took you down that route. It took me down this route. But we're essentially, we're all just fucking Metallica geeks. The end.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said the other day, it's like still kind of in the same headspace as you were 20, 30, 40
Yeah,
years ago, and yeah, it never changes. So I
yeah.
imagine I'd like to think that in another however many years' time, we'll be sort of here having the same sort of conversations, still doing the same stuff until literally one of us cannot do it
Well,
anymore.
that's right. In 20 years' time, when we're talking about the 10th Acid Rain album, and I'm 76.
Hey, Halford's doing it. Halford's doing it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. I think Priest might be a little bit bigger than Acid Rain. I don't know. So, look, mate, it's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
pleasure.
enjoy your weekend. Apologise to your family for keeping you so long.
Oh, it's all good. No, it's all good. Like it's the Easter holidays, and the missus has got the kids today. I've had them the rest of the week, so yeah, it's all good. I've got a nice little day to sort of crack on with. I'm doing some Zentrix artwork today. That's on my
Oh, there
agenda.
you
So
go.
we go
Easter
some
egg,
more of that.
everyone. Editing
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I don't think they'd mind actually. I did their last couple of records, and everyone knows it's done. But yeah, feel free to bleep that if that's inappropriate. But anyway, so
No, not
that's
at all. Not
that's
at all.
yeah, that's what I'm up to. But yeah, thanks ever so much for having me as well, and thank you to Charlie as well. Shout out to Charlie, a good friend
Oh
of ours,
God,
who
yeah.
obviously because that's how it's all come together as well. And
That's right.
yeah,
Charlie, our pimp, who put us a couple of little prostitutes together.
that's right. Yeah, he's the glue. There he is. Yeah,
Isn't he just? Well, that's one way
yeah,
of putting it. That's weird now.
yeah.
Um,
I'll take
right.
that back. Yeah. Right.
Awesome. Right. Well, look, thank you again, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely, and I'll catch up with you off the podcast at some
Yeah.
point soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. Cool. Oh yeah, yeah. Let me know how the single design comes along. I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, we'll do.
And again, I think we should just go with hey, check this out. We're working, guys. I think go fuck off a logo and let's just
Okay.
keep it same again. Yeah, because
All right.
anybody who's playing a digital single will know who it's by, so we don't need our logo on there.
Yeah, easy peasy.
Cool. Brilliant.
Awesome. Right, take
All
care
right,
now.
mate.
Cheers,
Take
buddy.
care, mate. See ya.